Hi, thanks so much for being here today. Before we begin, I have a copy of this recipe linked over in my bio. It's printable and totally free to you. We're going to start off by doing 1 cup of warm water. And my best tip to make the perfect temperature for your yeast to put in is to let your tap water just run till it's warm to the touch and then scoop it up and put it in the bowl. So that's 1 cup of water, and we're mixing in 1/4 cup of granulated sugar with 1 tablespoon of yeast. And then you're just going to give it a little light stir together, and you're going to cover it and set it aside for your yeast to bloom. So yeast loves sugar. That's why we mix those two together. It will help it bloom beautifully. So cover it, set it aside. Then we've got this huge jar of flour. I actually love these containers. I keep them on the counter. It's so much easier than scooping in the bag. We're going to do 3.5 cups of the flour. And depending on where you live, it might make it a little more or less dry. You may need just a tiny bit more flour when you start to mix it up, maybe a little bit less. I usually end up pouring in 3 cups of flour in my bowl, and then I have 1/2 cup just kind of set aside as I start to knead the dough. Then we're adding 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I keep mine in a mason jar because, again, just scoopability. I don't love the little pour spout on the salt containers. Whisk those two together just so they're all evenly distributed throughout the bowl. As you see me talking here, I'm just talking with my family. Your yeast is all frothy. You're going to put in that melted butter. That is 2 tablespoons there. Make a little well in your dry ingredients and then pour those in. See how frothy it is? Perfect. And a lot of times your sugar will settle to the bottom of the bowl. Scrape that out. You want that in there. And then we're going to add 1 egg. And then I grab a fork here and I just kind of give it a little whisk so it breaks it up ahead of time. And then get after that dough. You can put this in a stand mixer. I don't know, man. I have issues with stand mixers. I feel like sometimes they don't always get the dough mixed. Consequently, I have the same issues with mops. I feel like they don't clean the floor enough, so I'm on my hands and knees scrubbing. Anyway, I do it by hand. You can totally use it in your mixer. I will not judge you. This is a handy dandy little thing I have here. It sprinkles. You can use it for any powder, but I have 2 of them. I use one for flour, for flouring my counter for kneading dough, and I have another one for powdered sugar for like powdering, dusting pastries. Just makes it that much easier. Here we go. We're going to get started. If you've never kneaded dough before, just get your hands a little floured and then get the dough floured just like I'm doing here. And what you're going to do is you're just kind of rolling it almost like an envelope. So you're going to flatten it out like I'm doing here. Roll one side in. Then I come from the back, push it down. And then I do the same thing. And then this time I'm going to come from my side. There we go. So we do it again. Just keep turning it. And then you twist the dough. Do the same thing again, fold it, flatten, envelope, come from the back that time, squish, and then turn it again. So you just kind of keep doing that, and it's going to take in some of the flour. This dough should be, it should definitely be sticky to the touch, but not come off on your hands. So I've definitely had dough in the past where it's way too sticky. Keep on kneading it. If you have any experience with bread, you'll feel the difference here, but if you don't, you can probably tell in this video here. It's going to be sticky to the touch, like I said, but not have anything come off on your hands when you touch it. There we go. And then you can give it a little press, and if it springs right back, you know you've got the right texture. See? Springy. And then I couldn't tell if you could catch it on camera or not. So here's another angle, just in case. Perfect. My little trick for greasing a bowl is by the time I've cut the 2 tablespoons for the recipe for the melted butter and then the 2 tablespoons for our topping we'll have later, I have about 2 tablespoons left in the butter wrapper, and I just use that to rub all around my bowl and grease it perfectly. So we're going to put it in the bowl, turn it once, cover it, and set it aside. It's going to take about an hour to rise. I have another trick here. You can set your oven to warm or 200 degrees and just get it kind of warmed up and then turn your oven off. And you can put your bread in there with the door slightly opened, and it won't cook it. It'll just help it rise faster. Then I take a parchment paper and I put it on a pan. And then my trick here is on a clean counter, I spray it with Pam. So as we put this dough out, it doesn't need more flour to it. It keeps that perfect softness and it won't stick to anything that I'm working on. So the Pam is my trick. Then cut these evenly into 8 pieces. I know people get out a scale, you can weigh things. I never do it. I just kind of measure with my heart. If I end up with one bun that's bigger, I usually give that to like my husband or my son because they'll make a double patty and my daughter will get a smaller one. And so the way you're going to fold these is just like you see here. You're going to kind of roll them back onto themselves and pinch the bottom of the dough all around. Do you see? And then it's going to be kind of funky on the bottom. So you're going to put it on the counter and with your hands loose, but gently pressing down, you're going to roll them. So you don't want to squish it, just a gentle press with your fingers loose. And you're just going to kind of roll it around. See? Yay. So good. We'll do it again here. So you're just going to kind of pinch it all over itself. Kind of like when you blow a bubble with bubble gum, if anybody is familiar with that. Where you put your tongue in there and you push it through and then the other end is a little bit squished. It's very similar to that. And then you're just going to press it on the counter and roll it around. Again, gentle press, not a hard press. Perfect. Here's a really up close. There you go. Pinch it on the bottom. And gently pressing it on the counter while you roll it around helps to get rid of in case you got like an air bubble in there. The last thing you want is a sad bun you cut open and it's hollow inside. Nobody wants that. Gentle little press down. There you go. Last one on the tray. So you should have 8 of them. And see how mine are different sizes. It's totally fine. And then we're going to give them a really good firm squish. You can kind of see me get after it here. If you leave them up like this, they'll puff up and they end up being very tall and it's just it's a very hard bun for eating with. So if you flatten them like this, it makes them wider, which perfectly accommodates your patty, but also they'll still get puffed up. It's perfect. Trust me on this. Give them a really good squish. It's fun too. Then you're going to give it a cover. And this rise is only going to take about 30 minutes. So your first rise took about an hour. When these are done, set your oven to 375. So by now they should have risen. Set the oven to 375. 2 tablespoons of cold water. And you're going to mix it with this egg white. Now be careful not to mix this too much. You don't want it to get frothy. Just give it a little stir so they're mixed enough. Okay, then we've got our sesame seeds. You could toast these if you wanted. I don't care for sesame seeds being toasted on, so excited when they turn out perfectly like that. I don't care if my sesame seeds toasted when I put them on my hamburger buns. There's a time and a place for sesame seed toasting. I do not believe this is it. So then I give these all just a really good coat. Now, keep in mind these aren't cooked. Don't press super hard as you're brushing them. You don't want them to deflate. There's nothing more depressing than something deflating on you. So I give them a nice brush all the way around. This is going to help adhere the sesame seeds to the buns. And it also helps just create like a nice little sheen to the top. There's other things you can use for the sheen. We're going to put butter on them in the end, so we're going to have a nice shine on them. But go ahead and sprinkle those with however much you want. I'm going to show you an up close here in a minute so you can see how much I sprinkled on mine. And you totally do not have to do sesame seeds if you do not want them. There you go. Okay, then we're going to put them in the oven. They're going to be in here for a total of 15 minutes. But the first go round, we're going to put them on the middle shelf, 375 for 10 minutes. When there's 5 minutes left, fogged up. 5 minutes left, I take them, I give them a turn, and I put them on the top shelf so that they can get that really beautiful golden brown on top. So again, 15 minutes total, 10 in the middle rack, 5 on the top. Melt that last 2 tablespoons of butter you have set aside. See how perfect? So happy. And while they're still hot, brush that butter on those beautiful buns. I love this part. They just look beautiful. If they look good on camera, which I hope they do, they're even just so beautiful in person. This is usually when my men start circling around, and they will eat these for absolutely everything. So I know we've talked about burgers. One of my favorite things to make that I'm going to share a recipe with is I use chicken strips, and I have this really delicious honey Dijon mustard I put on them. We make these really good chicken sandwiches. We also have a Chick-fil-A sauce my son will use, so we'll have the chicken strips in them and he'll use a Chick-fil-A sauce on them. So good. When he was little, I used to put cold cuts on them the next day and then cut them into just like how we cut the dough, we cut into like 8 pieces. I would cut it into 8 little wedges. Kids love little finger foods like that. Perfect. There they are. So lots of different options with the buns. I also have a really good chicken teriyaki recipe that goes perfectly on here as well. And later I'm going to show you guys how to crisp these perfectly so that they have that nice little light crunch in between. So I let these cool, and then I give them a good slice, and I leave them just a tiny bit, that little sliver attached at the end, so it's just like a normal bun. They stay together better that way. This is usually when my husband starts to panic with me holding the knife. If I had a dime for every time I cut myself on something, it's usually the cheese shredder. I usually end up shredding a part of my hand. It's not good. We made it successfully through this recipe without me harming myself, in case you were curious. Look at the size of this bad boy. Nice. That'll make an excellent double patty. My son is almost 16 and he eats everything. And I know that that's a stereotype, but it is. I actually can't believe how much food he puts away. It's unreal. Last one. So these are served so delicious warm. But if you wanted to have them set aside, so you're having a barbecue or something, I love parchment paper. Not only is it not sticking your items together, but it also kind of presents well. It almost looks like tissue paper. Ooh, there they are. So putting them in a bowl with parchment paper is such an easy way to elevate it too. I mean, we can have some sad buns in a bag on the counter, which you can definitely do. Or you can have these nice warm buttery rolls looking a little bit more presentable on your counter. There you go. Yay! I bought these online, and I'll have the things I used on here. Everything I used will be linked in my bio over in the Like to Know It app. But I bought these because I make so many bread items, and I usually make a double batch of everything so that my son who eats everything, and we can use them for recipes in the future. So I put them in here, and these will actually freeze beautifully when you're ready to use them. If you want it right away, I just nuke each one in the microwave for like 30 seconds, and then you can still toast them up. The flavor is still incredible. They're still super buttery. Or you just leave them on the counter to thaw, and then they're ready to go. See, there we go. They even come with these little twist ties. It looks so professional, and this is a great way for you to take it to someone's house too if you want to. See how perfect? You did it. You did so good. Perfect. Check back in later on this week for some more tips and tricks. And don't forget to like and subscribe and pick up your free copy of the recipe linked in my bio.